Ladies and gentlemen, now today, courtesy of the legendary data miner Otrix, we're going to be breaking down and having a bit of a chat about the early data mined abilities for Cull Obsidian. Now, if you're a fan of Corvus, Glaive, and Venom the Duck, Cull Obsidian kind of does look like the love child of both of those characters, because there are certain mechanics from each one of them that he has kind of sprinkled in together with a little bit of magic on top. So if you like both of those champions and their playstyle of not really being that good for the first maybe fight or two, but then being quite insane for the rest of it once they've had some charges to ramp up, I think you're really going to like Cull Obsidian, but also he has some crazy potential to be even more in terms of damage output and performance than both of those champions as well. So yeah, I'm really interested by Cull Obsidian, man. But anyway, let's talk about his persistent charges and missions and how all of that fun stuff works. So he's got the Thanos' favor buff, and each persistent charge grants one Thanos' favor buff at the start of each fight, and also in a very similar fashion as well. Using the special 3, you can trigger these buffs, kind of like Venom the Duck as well, so keep that one in mind. So these buffs increase attack rating, and they gain more properties as more persistent charges are gained. Cull Obsidian has missions to complete, which may be done in any order. Each mission can be completed multiple times, and doing so grants one persistent charge. And pretty much all of his missions, I think a good like 4 out of 5 of them are, or 5 of them are just kill the opponent. So there's various criteria that you have to do, like kill tech champions, kill Avengers, win fights with like a certain percentage health left, win fights with your route phase active or your route buff active. So yeah, we'll talk about those missions in a second as well. So at the beginning of the fight, he gains one Thanos' favor buff per persistent charge that you have. These buffs are going to last a certain amount of seconds, and they gain effects based on the number of charges. These buffs have their duration paused for a certain amount of seconds each time an attack is landed. So providing you're playing fairly aggressively, you can actually get more use out of these buffs, which seems really nice as well. So 1, you just get the attack bonus. 3+, you gain also critical damage rating as well. 5+, you gain true accuracy, which means you can ignore evasion and auto block there. And 8+, each buff grants route buff duration as well, and his route phase seems a little bit crazy, man. I think maybe very good, like once you got a few charges, just to go straight into route and tear opponents apart, but we'll talk about that. So these are the 3 missions that he has on his base, and he can gain some more missions via the synergies as well. So mission 1 is knock out any champion, so any matchup that you win, you're guaranteed to get 1 charge there. Mission 2, crush their hope, knock out an Avenger, so if you're against an Avenger, I assume you get 2 charges there. Mission 3, end their resistance, so knock out a champion above a certain percentage of your health without the combo meter resetting during the fight. So don't get hit is pretty much mission 3 there. So if you can knock out a champion and not get hit, that's 2 charges per fight. If they're an Avenger, that's 3 there as well. And some additional criteria could mean that you could get even 4 or 5 charges per fight if they do stack up in terms of the way that you can acquire them, which I assume they do. So then we got the route buff here. So this one seems pretty awesome. So dash back and hold block for 1.2 seconds. I'm never a big fan of dash back and hold blocks, so hopefully this is a really insane benefit. So Cull Obsidian overcharges his weapon to gain a route buff for a certain amount of seconds. This will cause the opponent to suffer -% auto block ability accuracy, and also grant his attacks an additional burst of energy damage equal to a percentage of the damage dealt. So combined with Thanos' favor and the fury buffs there, I imagine this is going to allow him to hit very hard if you kind of combine both of those phases. However, this can only be used once per fight, apparently on the base, but it looks like if you have them awakened, you can use this multiple times, just as a bit of a heads up. So yeah, attack deal bonus energy damage, and opponents have -100% auto block ability accuracy. And then we've also got presence. So Cull Obsidian's Overwhelming Presence reduces the opponent's armor up ability accuracy by a certain percent during his special attack, so less chance to trigger, which, you know, seems like a fairly minor thing, but still nice nonetheless. Also via his heavy attack as well, you have a chance per strike to inflict an armor break debuff, reducing armor by a certain percent, and this effect gains plus 15% duration and ability accuracy for each persistent charge. So the more and more persistent charges you have, the more you can stack these up. So yeah, that's a really nice bonus as well with the persistent charges. Also, it kind of looks like he has a Proxima-esque parry, where Cull Obsidian's unique shield allows him to use the parry mastery against projectile attacks, but it doesn't look like this reduces ability accuracy, so not as strong as Proxima's, but, you know, being able to parry projectiles is still very nice, especially against in the Iron Man Infinity War matchup and the Havoc matchup as well. So some pretty good stuff there. And also we have the specials. So the special one, a series of devastating strikes softens the opponent before Cull roars a challenge in their face to prove his dominance. So this one, the functionality of it seems to be, if you are not super confident in, like, keeping your combo, this is a way to get combo shield. So it gives you a combo shield buff, and if you get struck, you know, you don't lose your combo there. So that is maybe if you want to get the mission and you're not, you know, super comfortable playing perfectly, so maybe this one is a little bit for newer players there. And then we got the special too, so a flurry of blows rain down upon Cull's foe, delivering punishing hammer and claw strikes. And each strike has a chance to pause the duration of all armor break debuffs on the opponent for a certain amount of seconds. So yeah, especially like when you're really deep into those persistent charges, this could be insane for helping kind of stack up those armor breaks and get some really good combos there. And finally, the special 3. So with a fully deployed whip chain, Cull snags his opponent in a crushing grip before launching them into the wall. So an influx of power from Thanos causes Cull Obsidian to re-trigger all of his Thanos favor buffs. So again, very similar to like Venom the Duck using his special 3 to trigger all of the buffs again, and also gains additional attack for each persistent charge. So imagine once you are maybe like really into a mission, this is the one that you're probably going to want to use just constantly to get that very powerful benefit from the Thanos buffs at the start, man. I imagine that's going to be so hard hitting toward the end of it. So yeah, that seems pretty nice there. And also via the champion synergies kind of adds in some additional missions as well. So we can't see like which champions he has the synergies with, but this one is Invasive Force. So Cull Obsidian, new mission, disarm their tech, knock out a tech champion. This mission can only be completed once each quest though, so you know that might be really good for stuff like Alliance War if it's with like Corvus or Proxima or any of the other Thanos's army champions. And then we have Display of Strength, which is Cull Obsidian new mission, show your might, knock out a champion while the route buff is active. This mission can only be completed once each quest, so it looks like you can complete the other 3 as many times as you want, but these champion synergy ones kind of allow you ways to get like 2 additional ones, so they might not be, you know, something that you need, but in certain matchups, like there would be a way, like against like a Tech Avenger like Iron Man Infinity War or Classic Iron Man, or maybe Hulkbuster as well, to get like 5 charges straight off the bat, man. And that can allow you to like really get in and deal some damage on some high pressure fights that maybe like 2 or 3 fights in. So yeah, there's definitely some interesting potential there depending on the lineups. And the final one is Heroes Never Learn. So Cull Obsidian launching a special attack grants a Fury buff for 4 seconds, increasing attack by a certain amount. This buff gains 150% duration while fighting hero champions. So yeah, that might just be kind of a nice Fury on top of all the other stuff that Cull Obsidian has, but just in terms of synergies, nothing really seems that essential, but there's some very nice stuff for him to have for sure. And then also he's going to have enemies for certain champions, where all champions gain crit rating as well. So yeah, that's it for the base abilities and also synergies of Cull Obsidian. But we also have the awakened ability as well, and I think for Cull Obsidian, looking at this champion, I think the signature ability is almost going to be a must for maybe longer fights. So this is Forced Oblivion. So once Cull Obsidian's route buff has expired, it goes into cooldown and can be reactivated after a certain amount of seconds. So if you don't have him awakened, it looks like you can only get one route buff, but if you do have him awakened, then you can trigger route multiple times throughout the fight. When a route enters cooldown, Cull's aggression is awarded with a fury buff granting attack for a certain amount of seconds, and this buff gains additional duration for each hit landed while route was active. So that also gives you more damage output when a route is on cooldown as well, kind of like smoothing out the damage output a little bit more throughout the fight. So yeah, I think the signature ability is going to be very, very valuable, but still, it looks like he's going to have a lot on his base and still be a really, really good champion, even unawakened. It just kind of looks like it's going to be a little bit like, maybe Proxima Midnight, where the Awakened ability is just much nicer for those longer fights. So, yeah, I think out of all the champions, man, because we've looked at Ebony Maw, Ronin today, and Cull Obsidian, I think Cull Obsidian, just as base, knowing kind of the strength of, like, Venom the Duck and Corvus Glaive and how viable those champions are for so much content in the game, and Cull Obsidian kind of looking to be a bit of a further-reaching, bursty champion, he could have some insane potential to be a top-tier champion, but it depends on the values, the numbers, how he is for those first couple of fights as well. So there's certainly a lot of questions when it comes to Cull Obsidian, but this lad at his base, man, I think all three of the champions that we've reviewed today all have some mega potential depending on the stats and the values. So yeah, I'm very excited for next month, man. All three champions look super fun to play, and I can't wait to see Cull Obsidian in the game. So ladies and gentlemen, now that we've reached the end of the third video, who are you most excited for? Ronin, Ebony Maw, or Cull Obsidian? Let me know in the comments section below. But aside from that, thank you so much for watching. Please do smash that like button if you enjoyed today's video. Take care, and I hope that you have an absolutely fantastic day.